because seawater has the exact mineral balance and proportion as is found in our body, in our blood, in our bones, in our tissues. And the good news is we don't have to drink seawater. In fact, we shouldn't drink seawater predominantly. So last year when I was staying in Ireland and my friend Jenny that I stayed with, we drove 10 minutes every day and ran up and down the sand hills and dived into the sea, and I always had a couple of mouthfuls. But predominantly I drink water. Water is the liquid that God designed everyone to drink. Now, of those 92 minerals, sodium takes up 30% and chloride takes up approximately 50%. I think it's exactly 52%. And because they're the first crystals formed when the water's evaporated, man scoops up the sodium chloride, bleaches it white, puts aluminium with it, and there's your table salt. Now be careful, they can even call that sea salt. Well, it came from the sea. But the salt, so table salt, basically is 2 minerals. So we're often told to cut out salt, but here's the truth. Real sea salt, like Celtic salt, is packed with 92 essential minerals that our bodies need. Unlike processed table salt, which is stripped down to just sodium and chloride, natural sea salt contains minerals that support overall health. In fact, the right salt can help balance fluids, aid digestion, and even lower blood pressure. The controversy? We've been warned against salt for years, but it's the refined, bleached table salt that causes harm, not the mineral-rich Celtic salt. When consumed correctly, it can help unclog arteries and improve circulation. I like to use a pinch of Celtic salt in warm water as a mineral tea. It's a natural way to replenish vital nutrients. Forget what you've been told. The problem isn't salt itself, but the kind of salt you choose. The salt that we use is Celtic salt. And Celtic salt is a hand-harvested sea salt, and it contains 82 minerals. So where are the other 10? They're in such pico proportion, barely measurable, that it's inevitable that some are lost in the evaporation process. Himalayan salt is probably a little bit more freely available, and it contains 75 minerals. So it's still fairly close. The membrane around every cell in the body is a bilayered membrane, 2 layers. And there are sodium-potassium pumps inside that layer. And that sodium-potassium pumps are ever basically going like this to keep the balance of sodium, highest amounts outside the cell or extracellular. Inside the cell, it's potassium is the highest mineral. There is a little bit of sodium. But these sodium-potassium pumps keep that in its balance. But if someone is taking table salt is such harsh minerals, you inject that straight into the blood, you would kill a person. Sodium chloride needs all the other minerals to buffer those 2 harsh minerals. So someone's putting sodium chloride on their food. Have you noticed that they put it all over their food without even tasting their food? Do you know why? Because these 2 harsh minerals kill the taste buds. Whereas Celtic salt, Himalayan salt, with all the minerals, they awaken the taste buds. So let's say we've got someone having table salt on everything. So what's happening with sodium levels in their body? They're rising. And they're not eating any fresh fruit and vegetables because it takes too long, and they're so busy they just grab the quick mushy food that hardly needs 3 bites and it's down. So what's happening to potassium levels? Potassium levels now are dropping. With the rise in sodium and the drop of potassium,
Osmosis happens when diffusion with the highest concentration merges into the lowest concentration. What's now happening to sodium? Sodium levels are rising in the blood. That causes the cell to swell. There's your high blood pressure. The doctor's right. This salt will contribute to high blood pressure. Dr. Lilangri is a French doctor who's written a whole book on salt. It's called The Secret of the Sea, something like that. And he says, when I get a patient with high blood pressure, I immediately put them on Celtic salt because it'll bring the balance back. In the Bible, it talks about salt. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 13, Jesus is speaking. He says, "You are the salt of the earth. If the salt has lost its savour, wherewith shall it be salted? It is henceforth good for nothing but to be cast out and trodden under foot of men." Old English. I love the poeticness of Old English. If the salt has lost its savour, I'd like to suggest that this salt has lost its savour. It's lost all the other minerals. What does the Bible say? It's now good for nothing but to be cast under foot of men. And when I was in Minneapolis in the winter, I saw them throwing the salt on the road to melt the snow. And I thought of that verse. I thought, oh, that must be the sodium chloride.
Table salt, with its harshness, does more harm than good. It elevates sodium levels in the body and disrupts the delicate sodium-potassium balance within our cells. This imbalance causes cells to swell and ultimately contributes to high blood pressure. That's why I say, the problem isn't salt, it's the kind of salt we're using. The beauty of Celtic salt is that it doesn't just provide sodium and chloride, but also essential minerals that help buffer these elements. When we use natural salts, we support our body's natural processes, aiding proper cell function, fluid balance, and even improving taste perception. This is why I recommend swapping out table salt for Celtic salt. It's a simple change with profound health benefits.
Whereas the Celtic salt, it's a hand-harvested sea salt. They wait till all the water evaporates. And you'll notice when you buy Celtic salt, it's grey. Hasn't been bleached, and it's very, very high in minerals. In fact, that Celtic salt has 3 magnesiums: magnesium sulfate, magnesium bromide, and magnesium chloride. And magnesium is a water-hungry molecule, so it pulls water into itself. And that's why when it's raining a lot, you look at your Celtic salt, it'll go really wet. It'll go really well because it's so high in magnesiums that they're water-hungry molecule. But when you put a crystal of Celtic salt in your mouth, how big? About the size of a sesame seed. Your mucous membranes are absorbing those minerals. The magnesium is taken to the cell. And then you drink your water. That magnesium pulls the water inside the cell. It's the quickest way to hydrate a body, is to take that little bit of salt and that glass of water. But there's more. Inside this membrane, there's a little motor. And when the water rushes through the membrane, that little motor starts spinning and gives us a unit of energy. So when everyone mid-morning's running out for their coffee and their cigarette to give them a lift, you go and find a tree, breathe your nice, remember LSD, low, slow, deep breaths, have your Celtic salt and your water, and you'll go back in revived. They'll go back in spun up, but then half an hour later, where are they? Crashed. So there's salt and there's salt. And one little old lady said, I was too scared to tell my doctor I was having salt. I just told him I was on a mineral supplement. You're the doctor here. If you've trained yourself out of salt, go lightly as you reintroduce that salt. Our palate tells us we need salt. We need salt. We need the minerals.
Celtic salt is hand harvested, waiting until the water evaporates, leaving behind a mineral-rich, unbleached grey salt. What makes Celtic salt remarkable is its content of 3 types of magnesium: magnesium sulfate, magnesium bromide, and magnesium chloride. These magnesiums are water-hungry molecules, which is why Celtic salt absorbs moisture on rainy days. Here's the controversial part. When you place a tiny crystal of Celtic salt in your mouth, your body absorbs those minerals through the mucous membranes, delivering magnesium directly to the cells. Then when you drink water, that magnesium pulls the water inside your cells, hydrating you faster than any sports drink. This is the real energy boost, not coffee or sugary drinks. People fear salt, but the right salt, like Celtic salt, is crucial for health. If you've avoided salt, reintroduce it slowly. Your body knows it needs these minerals.
Magnesium is a water-hungry molecule, and this explains why the Celtic salt is such a moist salt, especially when we've had a lot of rain, because those 3 magnesiums absorb the moisture. And because magnesium is a water-hungry molecule, it can be used to help the water get into the cell. So when you take a crystal of Celtic salt, put it on your tongue, and some say, how big's a crystal? Well, if you've got high blood pressure, start small, about the size of a sesame seed. I don't have high blood pressure, so I might have about 3 times little sesame seeds. Put it on your tongue, your mucous membranes start absorbing the minerals, the magnesium is taken to the cell membrane, and you drink your water, and that magnesium pulls that water inside the cell. It's the quickest way to hydrate a body. The only time excess water drinking can be dangerous is if people drink too much at once and don't have the minerals that are in the Celtic salt to pull that water inside the cell. I've had people complain to me, they say, I'm drinking more water now, and now I'm going to the bathroom all day. So I say, are you having the salt? Have a little crystal before every glass of water. And ideally, we should be having approximately 8 glasses of water a day. And then I say to them, and don't drink a whole glass at once. I think I mentioned earlier, I drink half a glass as soon as I get up. I go to the bathroom, I drink another half glass. Then I get dressed and have another half glass. But when I start every glass, I have that little bit of salt. So you spread the water over the day. And many people have said to me, thank you so much, that has made a big difference. See, huge water in, it's not long before huge water has to come out. It's like watering a plant. And look how God sends the rain, little by little by little. And when there's a tornado, when there's a torrential downpour, that's when the soil gets washed away and flooding can happen. So remember that with your body. Take it little by little by little by little. It is the best way to take it.
And let me tell you, too much water without the right minerals can actually cause an imbalance in your body. You see, when you drink large amounts of water in one go without any minerals, it just passes right through you, leaving you running to the bathroom all day. That's why I recommend sipping water gradually throughout the day, always with a bit of Celtic salt, to help it get absorbed into the cells where it's needed. Think of it like watering a plant. Little by little allows for proper absorption. This simple practice has made a world of difference for so many people who struggled with hydration. It's not just about drinking water, it's about how your body uses that water. This approach not only improves hydration but also boosts energy levels, leaving you feeling revitalized throughout the day.
Lining our gastrointestinal tract are villi. And on the villi is a receptor site. And that receptor site is to take the glucose through and into the blood. So on this villi, we've got a blood capillaries that go all the way through. Now in that receptor site is a carrier. And this carrier is designed to take the glucose through to the blood. But the carrier will not accept the glucose unless it comes with a molecule of sodium. I read this in my anatomy and physiology book. In the anatomy and physiology book, I memorized the sentence.
There's 7 spiritual uses of sea salt. That is what I want to share in this video. There are things.
12 strange signs your body.
Celtic sea salt has been getting an insane amount of attention, but does it really live up to the hype? Oh, hi, Mac. What's up, Vachero fam? Welcome back to my channel, where I'd like to explore everything that life has to offer. And a huge part of this channel is like health, fitness, supplementation, of course, trying things new in general. And this has been getting an insane amount of hype. If you look at the searches online, on trends, on graphs, there is a massive spike, especially in the last year, just for Celtic sea salt. And like a lot of things randomly just blowing up, it brings up the important question. Is this just a fad, or is there actual some weight to it? For example, at least at the exact time of this video, ice baths and cold plunges are super popular. However, there's a ton of health benefits to them, and I think there's a lot of justification as to why they're getting so much hype. On the other end, there have been numerous products, numerous ones that were just snake oil and didn't really live up to the hype. So that being said, what about Celtic sea salt? Now, I hate YouTubers that just ramble on and waste your time. I'm gonna give you a short answer and then a long answer. Short answer, in some ways, it is overhyped, I think, in certain ways. Other ways, not as much. So it's not a straightforward answer, but if I...
How you can get brighter and smarter and wiser with age. Brains should not be deteriorating. Have you...
Hello, I'm Barbara O'Neill, and today we're going to explore a fascinating combination that offers tremendous health benefits: castor oil and Celtic sea salt. Both of these natural ingredients have unique properties that, when used together, can enhance your health in several ways. Stay tuned as I delve into how this combination can be a powerful tool in your natural health arsenal. As a thank you for joining me today, we're giving away 100 free copies of my best-selling book to our subscribers. So if you haven't yet...
Hello, health champions. A lot of you have asked about salt. Is salt bad for you? Is salt good for you? It's been called an essential nutrient, and it's been called a poison that causes disease that you need to avoid. So today we're going to talk about it in a little bit more depth so that you understand what salt does in the body and also how the body processes salt, because that is going to be critical in your understanding about how much you can eat or not. Coming right up. Hey, I'm Dr. Ekberg. I'm a holistic doctor and a former Olympic decathlete. And if you want to truly master health by understanding how the body really works, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. So when we talk about salt, we usually refer to sodium chloride, and it's one of the most abundant minerals on the planet. There's almost 100 pounds of sea salt per ton of ocean. That's a lot of salt, because there's a lot of ocean. When we look in the body, then calcium is the dominant mineral in the solid tissue. Potassium is the dominant mineral in intracellular compartments, and sodium is the dominant mineral in extracellular fluid. So everything that is bloodstream and everything outside of the cell that's liquid, sodium is by far the dominant mineral. And because of that, it helps regulate body fluids. It's critical for the body to be able to regulate fluid balance in the body. So without sodium, we couldn't send signals. The way that the body sends signals is that there's a lot of sodium outside the cell, and when the body needs to send a signal, it has sodium rush into the cell and it changes the resting membrane potential of nerve membranes, of nerve cell membranes, and that's how the body creates signals. So without sodium, we couldn't do that properly. Like I said, it regulates fluid balance. It's only with enough sodium that we can create a proper blood pressure, and when we have enough, we can get rid of the excess and we can retain the amount that we need. So the biggest reason that salt has a bad reputation is that it's been associated with high blood pressure. But they're only giving you a small part of the picture. So here's the picture that they give you, and this is correct. You start with normal blood pressure of, let's say, 120/80, and then you take in a lot of sodium. You eat a lot of salt. And now that salt is going to pull water to it. That's what salt does. Water and salt follow each other through osmosis. So with a lot of salt in your bloodstream, the volume, it's going to pull water to it, and the total blood volume, the liquid fluid volume of your blood increases, and a larger volume is going to exert a higher pressure on your blood vessels, and your heart has to work harder, and that's a problem. And then you end up with a higher blood pressure. But that's the only part of the story they tell you. They stop right there, as if your body had no ability to regulate these things, as if it's had no ability to increase or decrease water or salt. So what happens is something called pressure diuresis, and your kidneys filter fluid. So any excess fluid is going to create an additional pressure on the membranes, on the filters in the kidneys. And anytime you have extra fluid, it's going to push its way out through the kidneys, and your body is going to return to normal blood pressure. And once you push that fluid out, it's going to take this extra sodium with it. And this mechanism of diuresis, which is getting rid of water through extra pressure, which also is known as natriuresis because it takes out the natrium or the sodium. They kind of go together. Salt and water follow each other. This is by far the dominant mechanism in regulating blood pressure. And it is so powerful that you could reduce a normal salt intake by 10 times